it's like when you're at the top and you're the best boxer, to separate yourself from others or to make yourself, a big, like everyone wants to watch you because they hate you or they love you, is to be a fucking to be Adrian Broner or some shit. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to have an act. You have to have a persona.
Until you get your ass whipped by Marcos Maidana.
That was awesome. One of the best nights ever.
It was.
All right, so I guess we'll just go ahead and just segue into I don't know what you guys were talking about.
Oh
no, post no. We'll continue what we were talking about.
Yeah, no.
So so in this case, I I still don't think that he will actually make the team. I think it is like a little bit of a money grab. Just kind of where eventually it's like they'll kind of see through him and everything, and then eventually get cut. And he'll just be kind of like a brand ambassador a la Drake type of stuff. It's Jacksonville, it's Florida, it's Tebow time, one of those things. I don't know, it just kind of fits. But I don't think he actually plays. But that's
I do think he makes a team only because usually players that get offered contracts usually get past the cut.
Well, it depends. I don't know how much he's getting paid, but it's a 1-year deal. So if he's getting paid like the minimum, it's an easy cut. But if he's getting paid like more, then it's like, okay, then it might be to where, like, you're right, they're gonna keep him.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, it depends on the contract because he hasn't signed anything officially. They're just saying that he's on. Well, they're saying they're gonna give it to him, so it's already been kind of like confirmed but not confirmed kind of thing. Unless it comes out that he fucking killed someone yesterday or something. But I think Aaron Hernandez in spirit has joined his body, and
here we go. I think we don't need to go there. And so, Danny, continue.
I don't think it's a publicity stunt, though. I genuinely think that Urban Meyer is going to suck ass as a coach in the NFL.
I agree.
And he actually thinks this is going to work. Like,
there's not that many college coaches that go onto the NFL and do good. So
right, it's a different game. I mean, Chip Kelly tried to change the game. It worked for 1 year only because
he had the players.
Right. He got every player like out of college from like Oregon or maybe like 3, at least offensively. But anyway, like it was like it worked because he had Michael Vick.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like the team was good. Mm-hmm. So, and then he managed to get rid of all of them. So
right, because he wanted his own strategy. Yep. And and when you try to do things like that, it's not gonna work. Like one, you're already gonna get learned. Like the whole pistol formation that 1 year. I remember me and you talked about it back in the day with Colin Kaepernick and RG3 and all these other teams that were doing the pistol formation stuff. And you're like, dude, this shit's gonna last 1 year. Like it's what you said. I remember. And it did. It only lasted that 1 year. That was a year that the Niners, I think, got to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, they got picked up by Richard Sherman or whatever.
No. They played the Ravens.
They paid the Ravens. Yeah.
And then it was rigged. They shut the lights off, so the
lights went off.
Oh, that's right. In the New Orleans.
In New Orleans,
yeah. And but like they still lost because obviously the Ravens defense at that time was
yeah, it was real good. That was Ray Lewis's last year. Terrell Suggs, Ed Reed. I mean, Haloti Ngata. I mean,
it was one of those like it was.
But just those kind of form like Kyle. Was it? No, it wasn't Kyle Shanahan. Was it with Colin Kaepernick?
No, at that point it was Harbaugh.
That's right. Yeah, another college QB coach.
College coach. Yeah, but he came over. He got Colin Kaepernick. He did that college thing. It worked. The next year, nope.
Yeah.
And then nope. And then where's he now? He's gonna get fired from Michigan this year. So, I mean,
tell me you really feel those.
I do.
I mean, they suck. So.
Yeah, dude.
But to be fair, when he first, I just want to say this: when he first got to Michigan, they went from like unranked team to finally ranked. So,
well, they didn't have good coaches before then either. So,
well, yeah, I mean, they're probably the best coach they've had in a long time. So,
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, once you get up to the rank status and you're just not performing, it's like the same with UT, right? Like you know, the whole after Mac Brown was gone, it's just a disaster.
Yeah. Yep. So, all right, guys, we're gonna go and segue real quick into our basketball segment for tonight.
Boo.
So, so a lot of people actually
it's hard backlash.
Kind of actually, you know, going along with that, are liking or not liking the play-in tournament.
I call it the wild card.
So I don't. So we didn't actually kind of plan for this, but it's just kind of something I was kind of thinking about it. Just as I was kind of actually listening to on the radio over here. Just, you know, there's just so many opinions in it. Just kind of want to get everyone's point of view for it. Where are you for it? Do you think it is a good idea, or do you think it is a bad idea? And why do you think it's either? For the play-in tournament. So just a kind of points that I was kind of listening. That's a good idea just because it does promote less tanking. So teams are forced to actually be in the playoffs instead of, you know, or forced quotation marks be in the playoffs and playoff contention rather than just tank. I don't think that's a strong point. You know, it's, you know, to each their own. Another thing, you know, that's a bad thing, just because, you know, it's even more games in the playoffs, even more chance of you getting hurt, you know, whatever. You know, mostly the teams that are saying, you know, stuff about it are the older teams, LeBron James, whatever, you know. But you know, so it's just kind of different point of views. Just want to give your couple 2 cents, just as we, you know, start this new play-in tournament, and see how it kind of plays out. Tosco, talk to me.
Well, I mean, I think the play-in tournament I think it's something that has to do with how it was with the bubble. Because last year, because in the bubble, you saw teams like the Phoenix Suns, you saw teams like the Grizzlies, you saw a team like the Magic, the Heat, who ended up, you know, being in the bubble, playing in the bubble, doing good, going on long streaks, you know, hot streaks, going into the playoffs, and actually the Heat making it far, making it all the way to the championship. And I think this is a product of that, in the sense of, well, you see it all the time in baseball. You see it all the time in NFL. The sixth seed, the fifth seed, the Giants are a good one. The Giants have won 2 Super Bowls as a 6th seed. Why? Because they got good at the right time. They got hot. The defense stepped it up. The offense did enough, and boom, they won a championship. And I think it's harder to do in the NBA because of, like you said, they're series. It's 5 games, 6 games, 7 games that you have to play back-to-back nights in order to win, and you have to win all of them to go to the next round. And I think that's where it could be tail off a little bit. I think personally it's a good idea because it kind of keeps those teams that are at the bottom, that are not good but not bad, relevant. You know, right now you see it in the West. You have 7 as the Lakers, 8's the Warriors, 9's the Grizzlies, 10's the Spurs. You know, the West has up to the 9th seed. They're games above 100. They're winning teams. They're winning records. And, you know, it sucks when a team like that, like the Grizzlies, if there was no playing game, they wouldn't be in the playoffs, but they're not a bad team. So, you know, when it comes time to do the draft, they're going to be one of those teams that has one of those picks you're going to pick a player that could help, maybe a role player, maybe just a player that does only one thing, instead of getting a player that changes your team, that improves your team to get better. And I think maybe with this, it gets you going. It gets those teams going. Hey, we need to play to get in. They get on a hot streak, and maybe in the first round they do an upset, and then boom, boom, boom. And you never know what can happen. You know, I'm telling you, last year, if the Suns would have made the playoffs, shit, they probably could have been in the championship too. They went undefeated in the bubble. They beat everybody, but they were just a game away from making it into the playoffs. So I think it's a good idea. I know that you brought up the Lakers. They don't like it, but it's their own fault. They don't make a team that's good enough because they don't have the money to, because they have to pay LeBron, they have to pay Anthony Davis. So, boo-hoo. It's too bad. Yeah, I mean, it's
a shooter a little bit.
A shooter, yeah. And the thing is like, what else do you have? You have old and busted Marcus Gasol, can't really do much. You have non-reliable Wesley Matthews, who can't do a lot. You know, you have what's the other one? Kuzma, who has the biggest potential in the world, but then can never do anything.
Day and night with him.
Yeah, so it's like, what's if you don't have a team that can do something without LeBron, without Anthony Davis, or without both of them, then then you're not a good team. Like you can see it on the record. I mean, look at the Jazz, look at the Suns. Like they're 20 games above 500. The Lakers are barely 8 games. And if LeBron wouldn't have come back, if Anthony Davis wouldn't have come back when he did, it probably would be worse. So I know they're complaining and we're gonna get hurt. We have to play extra game. You're playing one extra game. If he's the 7th seed, if they're the 7th seed, they win. That's it. They're in. So, I don't understand what's the crying about. You play one more game that you didn't get to play, one more game that the fans get to see because, you decided to, sit out because you, what is it called? Load management when they didn't get to see you in Atlanta, when they didn't get to see you in San Antonio because load management and you didn't get to play because you're too tired. Well, now you play an extra game and, you'll be out there. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Adrian, what do you think?
I like it. I just I don't know. I don't feel too I'm not too optimistic like Tosco is with whoever would. I mean, yeah, and anything could happen, but I just feel like when in regards to NBA, I feel like it's a lot more consistent about regular season teams performing, how they perform in the playoffs, but
no, I agree, but things can always happen. I mean, look at the Spurs. They were the 1 seed that 1 year, and the Grizzlies beat them. They were the 8 seed. I mean, anything can happen. You're right. And of course, the majority of the time, the top teams are going to win because they're the top teams.
Right, and that year that Grizzlies did win with, I think it was like Rudy Gay and all those other guys.
Rudy Gay, Randolph, Gasol. Yeah.
They got their ass beat in the next series, like on the sweat. And it was like Spurs would have beat these guys, like hands behind their back.
They were saying that looking back, they were like, if the Spurs would have beat the Grizzlies, the Spurs would have been able to go all the way to the championship.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, it was such an easy route.
Yeah, but I mean, it does happen, right? Like it does happen. Like that's just an upset game, upset series, and it changes the dynamic of the championship. I think that happened with, I mean, back in the 90s, it happened all the time, honestly, I think.
And no, continue.
I was going to say that I think it was the Pistons, the Detroit Pistons that did a lot of like series breaking NBA games where there was just like, oh shit. Where it was just like, this team's going to make it. And then the Pistons came out of nowhere and they were just, bracket busting basically.
I mean, the Spurs were a big one too. They did.
When they first started their run, yeah, you're right, because the Spurs were not a good team. I mean, and then they got Tim Duncan. They were the number 1 pick. Like they were bad. Like they got Tim Duncan, and all of a sudden, like 2 years later, they won a championship. Like, so no, you're right. The Spurs were one of those that came out of nowhere. And you'll have those teams, right? You'll have those teams that'll come out of nowhere. Look at the Nets. I mean, obviously, we know why the Nets are good, right? But before last year, for the last 6-7 years, they've been garbage because they traded all their picks away to try and make a super team. The super team sucked.
Yeah.
So when they had Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce and Ray Allen, they trying to get all those guys on the same team.
Yeah.
Nothing happened, right? So they gave all that away. They committed, and they were irrelevant for like 10 years. So,
but I really think.
Yeah. What?
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No. I was just gonna say now they're relevant because now they got everything back and they were able to sign people.
And I think just to add to Tosco's point, I don't think the play-in is as much as to commit to this excitement and atmosphere of the NBA, like a wild card game. I truly believe that it's anti break, or what was it? What you guys call it? Where they're gonna sit out like for the week or whatever.
Management,
load management. I think this is just anti-loan management where teams come in because it was going to happen. Like it's getting bad, like to the point where, teams they're okay with being the 4th seed, the 5th seed, the 6th seed, whatever. They're fine with it.
Yeah.
Because they know their team is good. Like, not to say I don't necessarily agree with Dosa's point that Lakers are a bad team. I think they're really good. They should be a top 4 team for sure, I think, in the West. But they're obviously not there because LeBron's been out for a long time. And Anthony Davis has been out too for like a month. And so it's like,
and he's inconsistent when he as well.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, like, are they even playing? Like, is what I mean is like, because like even when they are playing, it's like, oh, LeBron's not here, so why should I even really, commit my 110% or whatever? So it's like,
and you're absolutely right. And don't get me wrong, they are a great team, but if both of those are out, they're not a great team.
Right, exactly.
So when both of those are out, you expect, since you're the Lakers, you should be able to put a team out there that can contest against any team because you're the Lakers, right? You have the payroll. You have this. You have that. You have the star power to bring in anybody. And yet you put out that garbage when they're not there. They have guys that I don't even know who they are. They have some guy with like 3 last names. Like, what? Like,
yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah. No,
right? Don't get me wrong. No, the guy's actually not bad. I forgot his name. But he's not a bad player. But my point being is, no, not Caldwell Pope. Caldwell Pope is he's good. But there's another guy that comes in off the bench. But my point being, though, is the anti-load management, this is going to help, right? Another thing is the anti-tanking, it's going to help. But the best point, what Adrian said was, these teams don't care if the number 1 seed or the number 2 seed. I remember a couple of years ago, it's like, we need to be in the top 4 because we need home field. We need home field because we need to crowd into it. We need that extra game because if we go to game 7, it's going to be at home court. And we need it. And I remember, and that was a big deal. Now, and this is a great segue to, I guess, where Danny's going to go after this, where we're talking about the offensive talent that the NBA has, is now they don't really care because now look at the Rockets of these past years. Look at the Nets, the way they're playing, the Celtics, the Sixers, where there's no defense. Well, the Sixers have defense because they have when what's his face is out there,
Simmons or Embiid.
No, Embiid. When Embiid's out there, they're one of the elite teams. But you look at these other teams, they're just trying to put up as many points as possible. They don't care about defense. The Hawks, they don't care about defense. They're just go ahead, let's go out there, let's put it up. Doesn't matter they're playing at home. Doesn't matter they're playing in New York, and in New Orleans, and Charlotte, or whatever.
There's no pressure. There's just no go pressure. Shoot.
It's just let's go play.
Yeah.
And now it's like, well, that kind of takes away from it because it's like, well, then what's the point? Everybody wanted to be the top 4 because you get home field, right? And if you're the top 3, you're gonna play a lesser opponent. But realistically, if you look at the West, like the number they make it in the tournament, the Lakers are gonna end up playing the Suns as a 2 seed. Like, that's a Western Conference Finals this year right there. Like,
yeah.
But now, because the Lakers are so far down, the Suns are going to play the Lakers. And now it's like the Suns, a team that we want to see do good because they're one of those Cinderella teams that came out of nowhere. They're doing great. Now they're going to go run into a buzzsaw with the Lakers. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, give them a series? Like, no, they're going to have to go and do that,
And so there's no incentive.
There's no, exactly. The Jazz, another team, they're doing really good. They've been playing awesome. They're going to go play the Warriors. Now, don't get me wrong. The Warriors are not as good as they've been in the championship period.
Right.
But they're a team that with Curry, with Wiggins, and with Green, anything can happen. Anything can happen. They've had, some of those players have that playoff pedigree. They've won championships. And you're going to go put up against the Jazz. It's like, and that's the West. They don't have any easy teams. You look at the East, and the 76ers are going to play the Hornets. Come on. That's W. Let's move on. What's next? The Nets playing the Celtics. The Celtics just lost Jaylen Brown. Like, yeah, that's a W. Let's move on. Bucks playing the Heat. W. Move on. So, like, the only good series would be the Knicks-Hawks. That's real good because we're getting two teams that are coming out of nowhere. They're both going at it, but you would like to see them go up against somebody else, not against each other, because you're going to lose one of those new teams. Mm-hmm. But again, they don't really care. The 76ers in the East, you're like, I want to be one of the top ones because I'm going to play an easy team. In the West, doesn't even matter. You're going to run into a buzzsaw wherever you go. So
I was going to say.
Group of death, I guess
you could say. If you look at the series right now, Jazz, Warriors, Suns, Lakers, Clippers, Blazers, Nuggets, Mavericks. Like, Jesus Christ.
Seriously, is that the first or second round?
That's thunder.
Yeah, like those are like it's nuts.
But when you're a team like the Spurs, you love it because you're the 10, and you get to play in, you know. Yeah. And okay, hey, relax. Okay, you just beat the Bucks once, and they didn't even care.
Six players, 20 plus points each. Got
him. Assuming the Lakers win, the Spurs have to beat the Grizzlies and then have to beat the Warriors to make it in. And